collectors, hobbyists, and sports fans, of course. I'm Mike Provenzale. Welcome to the closing show for our Summer Platinum Night auction. I have some sad news for everyone. Tony Gehrig. So joining me on my right is a man who may be a mystery to you. He's a mystery to many. This is Mr. Mike Sadler. Mike, welcome.
Well, thanks, Mike. Yeah, I used to work for you guys.
Yeah, that's true.
I've done a few Platinum Night sales. If you remember a couple years back, before they went to electronics, they replaced me with electrons.
A robot.
Yeah, a robot, basically. I used to do these Platinum Night sales in Baltimore and Cleveland. I know I've done several, but...
Chicago as well.
Yeah, and I got a last-minute phone call just to be here, and it's great. How many people did you call?
I exhausted my Rolodex. Yes, I still have a Rolodex, but I was lucky to find you wandering the halls moments ago.
That's right.
This
isn't even my sport coat.
As always, you're well-dressed and prepared for any occasion.
That's right, just an average Saturday. But it's great to be here. Thanks for asking me. It's this sports stuff is always it's huge. It's part of the American fabric, and I like being part of it, whether I'm up on the podium or right here. So thanks for inviting me.
Oh, glad to have you. Mike is a huge sports fan. It's going to add some great confusion with Mike and Mike over here. Mike and Mike on the ESPN radio stepped down, so this is a good audition for us to step right into that void. And Mike is our head auctioneer, and he handles, here at Heritage, he handles the biggest sales, the best items for all departments, and occasionally he throws me some crumbs to do some other sales.
Occasionally, just when I'm tired.
But tonight, it's all about sports.
Yep.
And it's a premier event in the hobby, our Summer Platinum Night auction. Session 1 will be closing tonight. Extended bidding begins at 10 p.m. Central Time. You have to have your bids in before 10 p.m. if you want to participate in the extended bidding portion. Once that starts at 10 p.m., a 30-minute countdown clock will begin for each lot. And every time someone bids on a lot, the 30-minute countdown clock resets again.
So that's a shot clock, basically, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's a shot clock. It creates that sense of urgency, and it should, because you guys have some bang-up items here. Really, really amazing.
Some of the most iconic and valuable items will be closing tonight in Session 1, and then more amazing material in Session 2 tomorrow. We'll be talking about some of that material later in the show. But what are we doing here tonight? We're going to talk about our favorite items in the auction, things that have caught our eye, things that are really museum quality pieces. There's no other way to describe it.
Some of which came from museums and might even be destined to go into a museum, maybe your personal museum, but I got a feeling there are some future donations here on permanent loan. I just have a feeling. There's that noteworthy.
Many items that would be comfortable in the most prestigious museums.
Hey, explain this thing right here.
Well, there's a pandemic going on, Mike. And this is our protocol. Heritage has been very serious about protocol for COVID, and we've been doing very well with that here. And this is another step right here. Also, usually Tony's sitting in that seat, and that's to keep him from, making a fool of himself and getting too close to me.
Well, hopefully it does the same for me.
I know Tony is here in spirit, and I'm certain he's watching and will be commenting. And you can comment as well. You might be watching this on our Facebook page, and you can comment there. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions you have about any items in the auction. We'll be giving out free appraisals as well. Try to stump us. Mike's an expert in many venues.
Well, I tell you, I've probably sold $500 million worth of stuff. And it's in our new headquarters, our world headquarters here in Dallas, we have lined the hallways up with big posters of items that we've sold over the years in every department, from fine wine to dinosaurs to the great sports items that we've sold over the years. And I look by and I go, I've sold that, I've sold that, I've sold that. So you get a decent feel for what things are worth just when you've sold so much. But I tell you, I am amazed at what some of these sports items are bringing, and the interest from you all, both just on a hobby level and a financial level. It's big time.
Absolutely. Mike, you might say, is the face of Heritage, which is something Tony certainly is not.
No, not at all. Maybe a little bit of voice.
Tony's the heart of Heritage.
Yes,
I'll give him that.
He's the comedian.
So thank you to everybody who's joining us. You can also watch at ha.com on our recent bid activity screen on the auction homepage, and you can see the bids as they come in live. Every new bid will jump to the top of the screen, and our faces are right above it. And we'll be talking about that. We'll be keeping you abreast of what is going on in the auction. We're going to go through to extended bidding time at 10 p.m. and past to see what's going on. And we'd love to hear from you. Please give us any comments you might have. But without further ado, let's start talking about some sports stuff.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's absolutely do it.
All right, and I'm starting with one of my favorite items in the sale, a true rarity. This is the 1909 T206 Ty Cobb, the red portrait background, and this one is signed. What a beauty, a true rarity. It's a quarter century since this item made its hobby debut 25 years ago. It was acquired by a visionary collector in the 40s. As many of you watching know, getting cards signed was not a thing back in the day. Now it's all the rage.
I can't imagine approaching Ty Cobb in any regard was
Right.
probably an easy task, and you probably had quite a bit of guts just going up to it. And it looks like he was in a decent mood with the nice underline and everything else. So, and he kept it off of his face. He kept it in a nice, clean area. So, I give the person courage. Someone had to pony up to get it for sure. So that adds an added benefit.
And the T206 is a legendary set, one of the top 3 sets favored among collectors, and the red background is preeminent among the Cobbs that are in the T206 set. And to have one signed, it's unbelievable. I mean, that blood red background is fitting for Ty Cobb, I would say.
Mike, I'm looking at the item. It's a good, the grade is a good too. But I mean, that card has great eye appeal. So
Right.
it transcends the little bit of the technical grade and brings it up with the eye appeal. The red, the coloration is vivid. His face is totally unimpaired. And one other thing about signed items, you and I both sell a lot of signed items.
True.
And it's the placement of the signature, not to impose too much on the image, and that's got great placement, great centering. So the signature and where it's placed has a big impact on the value. And this one is right on the money.
Absolutely. Put it right on the gray of his Tigers jersey right there. And
it doesn't even affect the D in Detroit. So
He did it
again,
well.
Yep, really, really nice.
So a beautiful piece. We're expecting that to make some noise. I believe it's at 120,000 currently.
That's a current bid. And I mean, that's a must-have. I mean, if you're in the elite segment of card collecting, I mean the top of the game, going to the Sports National, you're buying plane tickets and hotel. Those are the guys who own cards like this. I totally get it. I mean, this is a must-have card. What about the grade range? I mean, you know this stuff. Where are the grade ranges on a card like this?
I mean, the T206 over 100 years ago, finding them in any high grade is very difficult. We've been selling the David Hall T206 collection recently. He's had some gems, including one of the finest examples of this card, but you're not going to find another signed one out there. You know, this is a true bragging item.
So
for a
someone
collector.
who may be, dare I say, someone who may be
through the mail, signed through the mail.
Wow, okay, so maybe it didn't take as much guts. He just included the stamped self-addressed envelope to come back. Maybe
But,
a nice note for
you know, at that time, people just weren't signing cards, weren't getting them signed. Any living legend of sport has signed thousands of their cards to this day. But Ty Cobb probably signed very few, and especially this one, the T206 card. So a crowning item in the auction. But not the only signed T206 card we have. Moving on, we also have a Tris Speaker signed T206 card. And this one, the autograph PSA graded it a 10. It's an absolute beauty. Tris Speaker, the 5th man into the 3,000 hit club in 1925, and he's currently still 5th in career hits. Quite the achievement. The Gray Eagle was in the inaugural Hall of Fame class, and he was only 21 years old when this card was issued, the T206. Only 13 people who are featured in the T206 issue survived into the 70s.
That's it.
And as you know, in the 80s is when the hobby really started to pick up, when you would really be getting a lot of players signing autographs, and nobody from the T206 set lived that long. There's only 4 signed examples of this card known, And this is the finest of them, a PSA 10 right there. Beautiful blue fountain pen signature from the Gray Eagle. And another rarity from the T206 set.
Well, the 10 grade is, the 10 grade, you don't see that often. I mean, perfection is perfection.
Right.
And I mean, when I've seen on the coin side where my, history and birthplace and heritage is, I mean, a 10 you see in new coins, coins rated in the 2000s. Modern mint industrial products. We really don't see things, we don't see things graded mint state 70 would be the coin equivalent to a 10. We just don't see that, and we certainly don't see it back in this year. I mean, it's really I think one thing that makes, obviously the triad of value is, rarity, condition, and popularity. Condition being a big part of this piece. But to get to a 10 level, the amount of care that had to take place, whether accidental or deliberate, is miraculous. And now that, of course, we get to benefit from the plastic holder, you can toss these cards around, nothing's going to happen. It's, I can slide it under here to you and you can see it, it's not a big deal. But for the care to take place, again, whether the stars just connected and it just made it through a miracle of coffee spills or popcorn spills or what have you, is just remarkable. So it's
and he's certainly signed plenty of balls, plenty of index cards, photos, things like that, but only a few of these. The T206 has always been a favorite issue among collectors and ball players, so definitely a special experience for him to sign it, something unique for him to sign, and he took his time, put down a 10 autograph there.
I think it's terrific.
And Mike, I'm not going to talk all night. I'm going to let you take over here.
Well, I'll throw in a little bit. These guys in our sports department have forgotten more about sports than I'll ever know.
True. I've forgotten a lot.
Yeah, they've forgotten more than I'll ever know. And the little subtleties and the stories, and it's like anybody at Heritage, whether it be a rock and roll guys or watch guys or whatever, the level of expertise and the small stories about every little item and the nuances, it's just amazing to me, and it's comforting to know you guys do know that, and that's what places the value. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite sports, collectibles. I tend to lean towards baseball, as a lot of, as this sale is very baseball centric, as, let's face it, I mean, baseball, the national pastime, there's a lot that's been played at the professional level. What's that?
A lot of history.
Yeah, there's the whole American history part, Americans pastime. But this is a great one, lot 80035, right? That's the Mickey Mantle card. And again, is this one of the most iconic images? This really is a must-have card. This one is graded VGEX4, and we talked about a little while ago about the eye appeal. And something technical grade is important, but sometimes the eye appeal, the desirability, the popularity part of that value triad really adds to it. In this card, a PSA DNA cert in a VGXF4. And with the signature, by the way, which is terrific. And again,
signature in a 9.
In a 9, the signature is absolutely fantastic. It's fairly well placed, but there's really no better place for it. I mean, sure, it knocked out a little bit of the Yankees logo there, but it infringed on that. But there's really no other place he could have signed it, maybe vertically in the field. So it's a fantastically placed, does not obscure his face. And again, is that the iconic image of Mickey Mantle? Is that what we remember? That gutsy 20-year-old image right there. I mean, just a chiseled guy. I was actually in prepping for this sale. I was looking at
Thank you for prepping.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I was looking. Well, we'll see how prepped I am as the sale unfolds.
We're gonna put you to the test. Don't worry.
But as I was, I was just looking up Wikipedia, YouTube, and everything. So I got on Mickey Mantle's swing on YouTube. It is sick. It is insane how a guy with really no physical training. I mean, these guys were not hitting the weight rooms after practice. There were no stationary bikes in the clubhouse.
No personal trainers.
Yeah, no one was playing ping pong, to work on their eye-hand coordination, which is in every clubhouse, right? I mean, we all know that. These guys were just heading to the ballpark on raw talent. But for the time in the 1950s, when he was playing and achieving, it's remarkable the power and just how deadly that swing was. I mean,
Right.
it is
From both sides of the plate.
both sides, switch hitter, which was really uncommon back then. I mean, this guy did it all. And of course, he migrated to first base, a little less active positions as his career went on. But I mean, this guy was an absolute stud. And I was reading more about him, and he was a great basketball player. You know, guys that, I'm not one of them. You probably are, Mike.
I would not make that claim myself.
But
let the public decide.
It's funny, people, and as I'm reading about so many of these great sports people that are in the sale, like the Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly's going to pop up a little later.
Right.
I mean, that guy was like an all-state basketball player.
Sure.
I mean, these guys are great at everything. And Mickey Mantle, I mean, 6 foot. I think he was only like 175, 180. But he played like a 220.
Right.
I mean, the guy had such torque. I mean, it was just unbelievable. So not tonight and not now, but sometime write a little note to yourself to check out the YouTube, just Mickey Mantle's swing. And it is, if you have a young player at home, just tell them to watch that. I mean, it is absolutely remarkable. But anyway, getting back to the card, again, this is another must-have. I think if you were going to assemble, let's say 20 baseball cards,
Okay.
I would certainly think this is in that 20.
This is the face of the hobby right now, the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
And there's you can count the amount that are signed on one hand.
Yeah, and the popularity of this card is just over the top. Now, I know in the hallway, I mentioned we have posters of great,
Right.
legendary items we've sold. There's a Mickey Mantle card in there. What's the grade of that one out in the hallway?
It's a PSA 9.
It's a PSA 9, and what's the price tag on that?
2.9 million.
So just under $3 million, and that was a few years ago.
Right.
I don't know if I even sold that, but it's just under $3 million. I mean, here's a chance to really get your toes in the water on a fantastic eye appeal card. I'm going to forget the technical grade, the EX4, which is still certainly respectable. But I mean, simply the eye appeal, the bold colors, the background in blue is fantastic. The bat is a bright yellow. Everything, all the check marks are checked on this.
And a PSA 9 signature to top it off right there.
Yeah, I think the signature is certainly a bonus, and there's only a handful that are signed. And again, I think the real serious collector, I mean, let's face it, most people watching the show are pretty serious collectors.
Right, absolutely.
But no matter what your budget, by the way, your budget has nothing to do with how serious you are, all right?
Right.
So just understand that. If you're watching this show, you're a serious collector. If you're participating in this sale, whether you're clicking bids or you're just watching where it is, you're a serious collector. If you're a Heritage client, you're a serious collector. But I mean, that if you were going to have a box of 20 cards, this card would have to be in it. And to know that, again, the higher grades are selling for $3 million. I mean, why wouldn't you want to get your foot in the water on something like this for, it's at 92.5. I mean, that's a bid. Someone's got that in it.
Right.
We're not waiting for bids. This card is going to sell.
It's going to go over 6 figures.
Yeah.
There's fireworks yet to come.
Yeah.
for
So
that.
I mean, this is going to unfold as the evening goes, as we will as well. But I mean, this is an absolute must-have. The signature is terrific, and if you don't have one, why not make this your leadoff hitter? With the signature. I think it's fantastic, and it's a really cool, nice little check mark to add to the card.
Definitely. And we've got a question from Vinny. He says, I have a baseball signed by the Brooklyn Dodgers, 1957 era. Great piece. Brooklyn Dodgers are very collectible. Team signed ball. Tell you what, there's a lot of range there depending on the quality of the signature, the quality of the ball, who all's on there, which Hall of Famers, a lot of Hall of Famers on that
Missing
team.
players, perhaps.
Right. But if you send us some pictures to our Facebook page, we'll take a look and let you know exactly what we think it's worth.
Yeah, there are a lot of moving parts to every collectible, and when you have 25 signatures on a ball, that's a lot of moving parts.
Definitely. And certainly it's going to be worth thousands of dollars if it's in good condition and it's got the right names on there,
Yeah.
the big stars, the Hall of Famers.
I think one of the and I'm sure Vinny was the name.
Vinny
I'm sure
was.
Vinny, you're already doing this, but make sure you safeguard it.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. It's I'm always it's interesting. It's interesting to me how people might squander value by just their caretaking of a high value collectible.
Definitely.
So please, and I'm sure you're doing this. I'm not trying to be patronizing, but for those of you who are thinking, gee, I wonder what it's worth, take good care of it right off the bat.
All right, I'm going to pick up with another amazing card here. This is the 1903 E107 Bresh Williams Cy Young. Incredibly rare card. This is Pop 2. There's only one superior. Young's 511 career victories is widely, and properly I'd say, considered the most untouchable record in sports. He's going to be sitting at the top of the heap right there forever. It's been a quarter century since anyone's won 25 plus games. You know who the last one was?
Last 25 game winner? Give me a year.
1990.
No.
Few people screaming at their computers right there.
Go ahead.
But Bob Welch of the Oakland A's. Tough one to come up with. But this is a beautiful card. There's just 10 examples in the entire SGC population. It's got the typical edge and corner wear, but the image is very strong. And the interesting thing about this issue, the E107, is that it's widely considered the first comprehensive issue dedicated to the national pastime. It says on the back there's 150 cards. There's actually 159 variations. And the 1903 year is significant for Cy Young. He threw the very first pitch in the first World Series that year. He won 2 of his 3 starts, and the Red Sox led the Red Sox to victory. So a very rare card. We're expecting it to do about 40,000. Where's it at right now, Mike?
It's at 38, but I mean, being at 38,000 this early in the game, I would think this card's going to be reaching for 50. I mean, it would have to be in the upper 40s at this point.
Yeah, and we've got 2 hours to go before extended
and
bidding.
And in your type of sale with the extended bidding, this is we are 2 minutes into the first quarter.
Right.
You know, I mean, this is really an
We're still getting
early
warm.
start.
Still getting warm.
Yeah,
still
absolutely.
limbering
Just
up.
feeling out the court, the field, wherever we are. Absolutely.
All right. Up next, this is one of my favorites in the entire hobby. We've been lucky to sell a few of them, but there are not many. This is the 1903-04 W600 Sporting Life Honus Wagner. This is the Type 3 in an SGC 70. I'm sure everyone recognizes that image, though you may not have seen the card before. Arguably the most famous portrait in baseball, done by esteemed lensman Carl Horner. The same used on Wagner's T206 card, of course. But this predates that T206 card by 6 or 7 years. So it's the older sibling, and it may not be as famous as the T206, but it is far rarer. There's just over a dozen examples in the SGC and PSA census combined, and this is the first and only example of this type and date slabbed by SGC.
Jeez, that is something else. And now you say 159, and what are the grades out there on something like this?
Well, this one is an SGC 70 EX Plus, Pop 1 of 1. So the only one at that grade right there, and it is an awesome example. So these were offered individually by sale or redeemed through the mail, and they are oversized, 5 1/4 by 7 1/2. And the dangers inherent in that, traveling through the mail, the oversized, you're just not going to find many that are in great condition. And this is the finest of 3 examples that are in the SGC census.
With a lot more
right
than
here.
3 people fishing for that, I'm quite sure.
Right. And the full roster is unknown for this issue. But 450 have been identified, and this is one of the finest you're going to find, and one of the key figures in dead ball era history. Right there on the front, it's one of the finest cards on the planet.
Yeah, and one of the most noteworthy names. So
Definitely.
again, a lot of boxes checked for you on that one. The Honus Wagner has always been. You know, I could even go to non-card collectors and say, you know, what do you think the most valuable baseball card? And chances are they're gonna go Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, one of those. And you know, the modern might say Mickey Mantle. So, and we've covered, you know, all 3 of those.
Right, we knocked them out of the box.
Yeah,
right at the top, right there.
Yeah.
3 favorites. This is a true rarity. Something most do not have in their collection, but somebody's going to add it tonight.
Someone's going to add it, and there's going to be one person who adds it, and there are going to be 25 who regret they didn't add it.
They didn't take that extra bid. Don't be the one who regrets it.
Yeah, I always say, you know, it's like next week, are you going to really miss the $2,500? Well, maybe. I don't know. It's up to you. I just asked the question. You know, when Mike and I are on the podium asking in the live auction format, we really just pose the question. I mean, again, all we do is offer suggestions and ask and keep money and the price in mind in our head. But you always have to wonder, next week, next month, a year from now, are you going to wish you had the item, or are you going to be glad you had the extra $2,000 or $20,000 or whatever it is in your budget?
Items in the platinum auction, you're not going to find another one of these next month available. It's you get it now, or you wait years.
There's
possibly.
no shopping around.
Right, exactly.
You know, there really is no shopping around at all. All right, let's move to one of mine. This is a lot 80005. Is that correct? Coming
That's
up?
correct.
You know, this is, you talk about rarity. Only just this is a souvenir baseball album. Now, one thing, and again, this
Love
is a
this
back
one.
and forth. I mean, Mike is the expert with the entire sports. We just couldn't fit them all out here. They all have a life, and they're doing something tonight.
And faces for radio.
Yeah,
so.
that's right. But this is kind of interesting. The album, and it comes with 18 teams are represented, 224 players. What I found interesting, and you're going to have to help me out here.
Sure.
It comes with a redemption card,
Right.
okay, of Uncle Sam, which
It's the Uncle Sam knockoff,
Yes.
E.B. Wilson. But
Yeah.
definitely that's what they were going for.
yeah,
with his
little
design.
satire there.
Right.
I totally get it. So you would cut this out of a magazine, send it in, and they would send you the album, not
Right.
the cards, just the album, and you would assemble it. And of course, that's what often drives collectors, I think, is the fact that they're missing something and they have a sense of completeness. But I just thought it was really kind of a cool, maybe, it really could be the advent of getting people to collect these cards. I mean, sure, the cards were out there. I'm not so sure they were part of a real collectability thing.
The T209 set that's featured in here, all minor leaguers, very tough to collect for
Yeah.
collectors now. So getting them all in one album together.
Yes.
This is one of only 3 of these albums known.
3 of the albums, and just the album alone, looking at the photo that
Yes.
you're doing, I mean, that is just a beautiful green paper. I'm not, is the cord, is that part of it?
Original black string.
See that I was as I'm looking at this and kind of prepping for this and looking over the things, I go certainly the cord has to be
No.
replaced or
All
something else.
original.
It has to be, but it isn't. And again, the care. Obviously, this was stored with some other piece of paper over it, and thus the patina on the paper and things like that. So it was probably in a stack. But from 1910. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic, and you're talking about early tobacco cards, and I think clearly one of the marketing ways about collecting is giving people a chance to collect and organize things, and all of you sports folks out there, I'm sure many of you had those little blue coin folders. If you're
Right.
about my age, you all had those. And they came at around the holiday time as gifts. And you would sit and it would if you were a real collector, if you became a collector, it would bother you that one of those holes was not filled, and that drove you to finding them. And that's exactly what
Knock it all out here in one shot with the whole
Yeah,
album.
the whole
It's got
thing
the
is
whole
done.
set.
Yeah. Now we don't
Yeah.
want to ruin you for collecting. The fact that every hole is already filled. Okay. If you'd like, we can pull a few of those cards out and mail one to you every 8 months.
Right. Once you win it, you can do with it what you like.
Yeah, but I might suggest that you buy the whole thing and then you can add them or move them around as you see fit. But again, a really great early baseball, early tobacco card. Not just the assemblage, but of course the album is, I just think, really, really cool. And it's in great condition. The patina around the album should not dissuade you at all from this. This is absolutely fantastic.
It's one of the rarest tobacco items out there.
Yeah, and the
Tobacco
printing is absolutely pristine, and that's pretty much undisturbed. The last O in tobacco is a little bit in the patina, but it's absolutely fantastic. So I love this item. I didn't know much about it.
Good
Mike
choice,
gave me
though. Good
Mike,
choice.
Mike gave me a few items, and he was trying to stump me on the first one. And I'm like, I don't really know.
I'll give you one of the rarest items that you certainly have never seen or heard about.
That's right.
But it's good to get your opinion on it. You, although a sports fan, you've done plenty of sports auctions. You know a ton about collecting. You don't work in our department, so love having your outside expertise.
Outside influence,
looking
the
in,
novice collector.
looking in this window right
Yeah.
here.
But
that's
it's
separating
fantastic,
this.
and the current bid is $72.50, and I don't think you're going to get it for that. But I'm everyone out there. I think this is a point click bid up to I would think at least 15 grand.
Yes.
You're not even thinking about that. I mean, up to 15 grand is an easy back and forth, point click, point click. So we haven't seen a lot of action on that, but I think that's going to change. I really do, and it should change because it's a terrific one, and it's one of the lead-off items, no pun intended, in our discussion.
I think that was intended.
It might have been in our discussion tonight. So that is a great one. So get your bid in on that one. Don't miss that.
And we're going to keep you apprised of what's going on the recent bid activity board, and that T206 signed Ty Cobb just got another bid. It's at $130,000.
Yeah,
right
and it
now.
makes sense. You know, I mean,
That one's going to keep going. It's super rare. Nobody out there has
Yeah.
that. And if you are a T206 collector, a Cobb collector, or just want the rarest of the rare, that's got to be in your collection.
yeah, and you know, it's interesting. There are some things, obviously, in the auction business. We're pleased at some items, but you know, when we know what's valuable. I mean, that's not a big surprise. I mean,
Right.
it's great, but these things don't miss on. Just don't sit. You get that mouse in your hand while you're watching the show because we're very often pleased how things go, but we're not always surprised because we know the value. We know the collector base is out there.
And speaking of value, let's talk some memorabilia now. Switching over quickly, this is a 1933 Grover Cleveland Alexander single sign baseball. And whether you collect Hall of Famer single sign baseballs or 300 game winners, you probably do not have Alexander. One of the toughest to come by, a troubled legend. His alcoholism and epilepsy and PTSD from World War I didn't derail one of the most remarkable careers in Major League Baseball history, but it kept him out of the public eye, and he passed away in 1950. So not a lot of autograph opportunities. Especially there's a tiny supply of Alexander single-sign baseballs. One thing I love about him and where this ball derives from, Old Pete, as they called him, took one last attempt at the majors in 1930 at age 43. How do you think that went?
Well, if it was me, not good.
So he surrendered 24 earned runs in his last 22 innings there. He did not add another win to his career tally of 373 wins. So after that, his safety net.
That's unbelievable.
Yes.
And that's when guys pitch the full game.
Right.
I mean, they were not.
He was working.
Now it used to be 3 pitchers, and you know, we just read an article in the Wall Street Journal. I'm sure many of you saw it about the length of baseball, and now it's up to a 4-pitcher game. They may even mention a 4.3.
pitcher to
But
face
back
one
then it was
guy.
a 1.0 pitcher game.
Right.
That's it. You pitched, and that was it.
Either you finished it or you didn't.
That's it. You know, other than the ball hitting you square in the noggin, you were in the game for the whole time. That's it.
So after that last stint didn't work, he joined the House of David barnstorming team, famed team, always bearded, very heavily bearded. They would have fit right in to the population right now. They provided fans with an entertaining blend of baseball, music, and end-time religious prophecy.
That's a nice combination.
Which is missing from the game right now.
It's
I
a
would
little
say.
bit, teeny bit.
So this ball comes from that era. It's noted in an unknown hand on the ball. June 5th, 1933, Greenlee 4, House of David 3. So the home team took down House of David that time. And this is a beautiful signature, an 8 out of 10.
Jeez.
And this one should hit 20,000. You just don't see Alexander single sign balls, especially with that strong an autograph. And it does have the notation on it, but I like it in this instance because it puts it right in that era post his career, but he was still playing the game, barnstorming very
Well, it has the
common at time.
barnstorming stitches too, right? I mean, that's
Yes.
part of it. And you know, one thing about that I notice auctioneering in the one of 42 areas that Heritage offers is originality.
Right.
And collectors crave it. They absolutely crave it, whether it be a Led Zeppelin poster from the 1970s or a Beatles poster from 1969 at Shea
Right.
Stadium. That originality, that patina, the little bit of wear, and I'm not talking about things that affect condition. I'm just talking about the original aged. It should look like an antique,
Right.
And that's what this is, and it absolutely scores. The signature could be an 8, but the originality is a 10 in my book.
Love it.
Yeah.
And speaking of originality, the next item right here is a 1 of 1. Huge item. This is the 1900 Christy Mathewson signed New York Giants rookie contract. Christy Mathewson's first major league contract It's the only known rookie contract from an inaugural class Hall of Famer.
How does anyone even have this?
I'm going to get to that. Don't you worry. So, John Phenomenal Smith pitched 8 years in the majors, and in 1899, he was coaching the Norfolk Phenoms of the Class D Virginia League.
Oh, sure.
So things are going well for
Yeah.
him. But he spots a teenager named Christopher Mathewson who's playing for the Taunton Herrings of the New England League. Mathewson had a 2-13 record, but Smith saw potential. He bought him, and in the 1900 season with Norfolk, with his new manager guiding him, he went 18-2 with a 0.74 ERA. So
Probably with 2 pitches.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's all he needed. It made headlines in New England, and that summer, Smith took Matty aside and told him he was going to be sold to a major league team, either the New York Giants or the Philadelphia Phillies. His choice, of course, he chose the New York Giants as his launching pad for Cooperstown immortality.
Wow, how poetic. Nicely done.
Thank you very much. This is the contract he signed his rookie season with the Giants. Gave him a monthly salary, $150.
Wow.
Yes.
$150 a month.
So a beautiful, generous Mathewson signature here. Of course, his rookie signature. So this was purchased, this contract, directly from the Mathewson family by famed collector Barry Halper. And it is one of the most significant sports contracts in private hands. And a beauty to behold, I'll say
And,
that.
you know, it brings up, I think, a good time to talk about provenance.
Sure.
And how important the handoff of these items really is, how the importance of
Where
that.
did it come from?
Yeah, where does it come from? Tell me the story. And so many of these items have great stories. They have great background stories. And that's not necessarily provenance. We sold, actually you and I sold the estate of Neil Armstrong.
That's right.
And, you know, Commander Armstrong's sons were in the audience. That's provenance,
Right.
You know, so you think about the letter or a photo, something like that actually links the item with the time period, with the handoff of it. That's invaluable. And in this case, you get that, which is
Absolutely.
You have to be able to own these items and go to bed at night and sleep, and you are sleeping tight with that one.
And collectors, of course, covet anything from the beginning or the end of a career. And
Yes.
you've got the very start right here, Christy Mathewson's rookie contract.
Yeah, and we'll hit on a couple of other rookie items as well. Let's talk about this one. This one's coming up for me. It's lot 80.
Oh, before you get
Yeah,
started,
sure.
Chris Almonroad chiming in. Hello, Mike and Mike. Former Heritage employee, one of our favorites. And he has one of the finest roundhouse kicks I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it's a good thing I've never angered him. Thanks,
Yeah.
Chris. Well, thanks
for watching,
Thanks for
Chris.
joining in. I think you owe me a lunch, by the way. So make sure.
All right, sorry to interrupt.
No,
Please
not at all.
continue.
Coming up now, you talk about rookies. Let's look at lot 80034. Okay, this is just amazing. Willie Mays. This is a Willie Mays triple signed Bowman rookie card contract. I mean, we're talking about baseball cards. This signed Willie Mays up. And as I'm reading this, again, prepping for the sale, did I read this correctly? He got $10?
That's correct.
$10!
And a watch, and a Legion's watch,
A
which I
Lejeune.
haven't talked to Keith Davis in our watch department about
Yeah.
what that is worth, but
I don't know.
can't
But
imagine it was
maybe
that
we'll
much.
get the watch, but I have a strong suspicion it's worth. It's going to be worth a ton, no matter where it is, and we'll find it. I'm quite sure a few of the sports guys are on the phone now. But when you think about these ball players and the transition of regular, I mean, when I say regular guys, I mean we're talking $150 a month, a lot of money, but not putting you,
Right.
in the Hollywood Hills by any means. We're talking Willie Mays. We're talking Willie Mays, Hall of Famer.
His iconic rookie card,
Yeah.
the Bowman.
Exactly. Which is again one of those box. If you had 20 cards, that would be
It's
in
in there.
And this is his exclusive. Now, and they use the word exclusive. I mean, countless
Repeatedly.
times. I'm not so sure these players. I don't want to say honored, but they might have had overlapping agreements.
And we're going to get to an item later talking about that, but it was a real war between Bowman and Topps over
Yeah.
who was going to have the
Oh, yeah,
players'
this was out there.
contracts.
Yep.
So an important piece, the contract where they were securing one of the greatest talents in Major League Baseball history.
One of the greatest talents, and I believe this is dated just a couple of days before his first game. I'd have to read.
That's correct.
But so when you think about the advent of Willie Mays, who I got to see play, by the way.
You're dating yourself there.
Well, he played with the Mets in the early 70s, right? Didn't he play with the Mets? And I grew up not too far from Shea Stadium. So, and these guys know that I am a 69 Mets fan, so all you Cubs fans out there, I apologize in advance. But I am a 69 Mets fan, or Orioles, sorry about that. But so Willie Mays was on the team in this sunset of his career, if you will. And I got to see him. So what a great, I mean, I have nothing from the game other than the memory, which is it's valuable to me, but I got to see Willie Mays play in a professional league game in the Mets uniform.
Jealous of that.
Yeah,
and
so
Willie Mays signed this contract the day he hit his first home run, which was also his first major league.
Yeah, in the Polo Grounds, which is amazing. You think about New York City had like 4 baseball. What do they have? Ebbets Field, the Polo Grounds, Yankee Stadium, and of course Shea Stadium joined them later, and now it's Citi Field and everything else. But when you think about the Polo Grounds, and I was looking that up too, from 1890 to 1963. I mean, you talk about history of, and that's where he hit it.
So saw some of the greatest moments in baseball history.
Yeah, so to be able to see a player play like I did, who was part of that era, that transitional era, was fantastic. But I love this, the $10 agreement, Willie Mays' signature right on there, signing his card, exclusive rights away, his image. And it just goes on and on of addendum of how much he's giving away for the tidy sum, which he has to confirm and affirm he has possession of the $10
and the watch.
I mean, I wonder if the Bowman rep like pulled the $10 out of his pocket, or
Probably.
Was it a check?
Here you go, thanks, kid.
Yeah, did they force him? Did they force him to actually go to the bank and cash the check, or did he just give him a $10 bill? We don't know, but it's a really cool item. And you talk about the first year of things, which I find fascinating, and it's the first year when the future is unknown.
Right.
So we're going back to when this guy was just a player. He was just a guy. He wasn't a legend. He wasn't a Hall of Famer. He had not even hit his first home run. As a matter of fact, he started in the majors in kind of a slump.
Right.
But I kind of liken it to if Orville Wright wrote a letter to Wilbur saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about inventing an airplane. What do you think?"
These things birds do. Let's try it.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Like, that predates when you know what happened afterwards. It makes that letter, it makes that contract that much more fascinating, I think. In something like this, when Willie Mays was a young and impressionable, I say kid, he's a young man, of course, but when he's in that office and he's signing this, and here you go, son, right here, here's a pen, and he signs it. Maybe he's got good advice, maybe he doesn't. I just think the whole thing is fascinating, especially how his career evolved, and of course he's a Hall of Famer.
And this
legend.
next lot relates to it perfectly. This is the 1951 Willie Mays original photograph used to make that 1951 Bowman rookie card. A instantly recognizable image, of course, one of the most recognizable images of post-war baseball, and used to make that posterized, iconic look of the car.
Yeah.
Second only in the set to Mantle, of course. Only a handful of these photos are known to exist. What's interesting about this, the photo provides 2 details that the card does not. The 1951 National League 75th anniversary patch on the left sleeve of Mays' rookie jersey there, and also a beautiful shot of the sweep of the grandstands at the Polo Grounds behind him there. An amazing image taken by William Jacobellis.
And it's interesting because some items relate so well to other items in the sale, and I think what you often see when a collector buys the one item, let's say the Bowman contract, they can't live without the related item.
You need to get those 2 items.
Yeah,
together.
I mean,
If
they
you're buying
almost
one, buy the other.
Yeah, they almost work hand in hand. And I don't know if it's still up to Willie Mays. Look at his arms. I mean, these guys were not like lifting weights off season. I mean, they had other jobs. I mean, look at how chiseled this guy is.
Yes, a natural.
I mean, it's no wonder, it's no wonder I don't play Major League Baseball.
That's the one reason.
That's
right
not
there.
a wonder at all, frankly. I think it's a great look back on history, and I love the relationship between the Bowman agreement and something like this. It's really, I think you've got to pair them. You really
Absolutely.
do. Yeah.
And let's go back to contracts. This is an amazing item right here. This is the 1933 Lou Gehrig New York Yankees player contract. 1933 is the year he officially became the Iron Horse. He set the consecutive games record, broke Everett Scott. So Gehrig's streak began on June 1st, 1925, less than a month after Miller Huggins benched Everett Scott in favor of Pee Wee Wanger. To end his streak, Everett's at 1,307, and they were teammates, Gehrig and Scott, that season.
Yeah.
So Gehrig assumed the throne on August 17th, 1933, with consecutive game number 1308 at Sportsman Park in St. Louis. Everett Scott was there in the home dugout as a guest of the Browns. And Gehrig would go on to play 800 more consecutive games.
Yikes.
Unbelievably.
That's quite a break.
But the 1933 season was the most challenging to that streak. In April 23rd, he was struck in the head by a pitch thrown by southpaw Earl Whitehill, who played for the Senators, and it left him teetering on the edge of consciousness, but took his base and eventually scored in the inning.
Unbelievable. That's when men were men.
Exactly.
You know?
And 2 months later, Gehrig and manager Joe McCarthy were ejected at Fenway in a dispute. Imagine that, the Red Sox and the Yankees having a dispute.
Yeah, they usually play pretty tight
Right.
ball,
But Gehrig had already batted, so it was an official appearance for him. So this is the contract that secured his services for the Yankees in 1933. Full name signature, which collectors love, and 4 Hall of Famers on there, because you've got Hall of Famers, the GM, Ed Barrow, the owner, Jacob Rupert, and the AL president, William Heritage. So this was dated March 10th, 1933, spring training in Florida for the Yankees, just as it is these days. And 1933, brilliant season for Gehrig. He batted .334, he hit 32 home runs, 140 RBIs, 4th in MVP balloting. This is the contract that got those stats on the Yankee roster that year.
And I mean, isn't Lou Gehrig? I mean, whether you're a Yankees fan or not, I don't think you have to be a Yankees fan to admire the kind of that can-do spirit that Lou Gehrig is synonymous for.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I know there's probably some young people out there. When I say young people, that's anybody
Younger than us.
younger
That's a
than me,
big
which is
big
basically the
demographic.
entire population of the United States.
There's a couple in this room,
You know,
in this
yeah.
building even.
Tyler, our video guy's like, yeah, he's standing right here, But my shoes are older than him. But you know what's interesting when I look at a contract like this? You compare it to agreements, contracts now that are pages and reams with addendums, and if my batting average is over 261,
Right.
I get this bonus. Man, this was this. You want to play for us or not?
It's $23,000 a year. You taking it?
You're taking it because we got a couple other guys waiting to go. I mean, they don't have it penciled in. It's typed in. There's no negotiation. This is it.
Right. This is what we're giving you. There's a reason the GM and owner were Hall of Famers.
That's exactly
shrewd
right.
business deals.
So, and again, I think it's great that you get some of the other Hall of Famers. So some people collect Hall of Fame signatures, related items, and in sports, sometimes you see a crossover with like presidential items, like a ball be signed by the president and some player, and we call that a crossover item because it crosses over for political and sports. We could sell it in any venue. There are a couple of decorative items in here that we could probably put in a decorative art sale, but we know you all want them, and the right place is here. But I just think it's great when you see the multiple Hall of Famers. I like that. Whether it be a rock and roll poster with 5 or 6 Hall of Famers, we just see those items sell for more. When Chuck Berry's on something, that's great.
Yes.
But when you get 4 or 5 other rock and roll Hall of Famers, it goes nuts. So I mean, not that everyone knows the corporate side of the Baseball Hall of Fame, but it's part of it, and that's kind of cool, and you get that too.
Definitely.
Neat.
This is one of the most important documents in Yankeedom right here. The contract for Gehrig, the year he set the consecutive game streak. Also, 1933, he started at first base in the first All-Star game. So huge year. And we're going to move on to his compatriot, Babe Ruth. And this is one
Never
of the most... Oh, I picked the wrong host. I
Dang
should have
it.
gone with the janitor who was out there
That's right.
too.
Yeah.
But this is one of the most important documents available in private hands. And we've got a special little video we're going to show you about it.
All right.
Babe Ruth transformed the New York Yankees into American sports' most celebrated franchise. And in turn, they had made him the highest paid athlete in world history to date. This is the final contract between the Hall of Fame slugger and the Bronx Bombers, executed January 15th, 1934, before the Bambino's last season in pinstripes. But this special document offers something that almost no other high-end Ruth artifact can claim: actual period video documentation.
We could go a little quicker, but as long as it's talking and stuff is going on, I'm fine with it.
You think people are still
Oh, yeah. The problem is you say 30 seconds?
Collectors are well trained to covet first and last above all else. And this final contract between the greatest star ever produced by the game of baseball and the most significant franchise in the hobby ranks with the most important pieces of baseball memorabilia in private hands.
5 minutes. 2, 1. That is just an incredible piece. There's only one like it. To have a Babe Ruth contract, of course, is incredibly significant, but to have one with video evidence of him signing it is truly unique. I love that piece. When it came in, the whole department's shut down so we could take a look at it. Really a one-of-a-kind and a huge piece. Cannot wait to see where that goes tonight.
That by the way, that's when you know something's super cool, is when the whole department shuts down.
Right.
You know, everyone takes a break and comes out of the office, whether it be a multi-million-dollar coin or something like this, or some decorative item that is just over the top, or a Woodstock poster or something. That's when everyone stops. I don't want to say stop working because the boss is like, no one stops working.
We never stop working.
But everyone just has an added interest in those items, and something like that certainly.
And you're going to talk about one of those unique items as well?
Yeah, this is again, in every signature sale we have some signature items that just maybe pull away a little bit and have a little bit more importance. Mike gave me one of them to talk about. This is lot, let me get the right lot number, 80056. Okay, this is, I like the picture perfect example from the Georgia Peach. We already saw a little bit about Ty Cobb, and here's his weapon right here. This is a game.
As he said, a ball bat is a wondrous weapon.
There's the segment right there. So the game used bat, gifted to fellow Hall of Famer Joe Sewell. When you think about this bat has a couple of things. That it also has the tape, the grip tape that kind of was a Ty Cobb signature, what he used on the bat. Can't use it today, but he had it on there. And you talk about authenticity and great cataloging. I love the evidence of tobacco spit to harden the grain. I frankly didn't know that tobacco spit would do that.
But now that you know, are you going to put that to use?
I'm thinking of maybe all do my floors with that, at home. Mrs. Sadler will be thrilled. But the ball divots and the real evidence of play, which I totally, part of being a collector, a time period collector of antiques, which is what these are sports antiques, is to see the evidence of a bygone era. And when you think that the spike marks and the ball marks and the evidence of play and this bat that, was swung and thrown in the dirt, and just that whole, where the game was played, how people were dressed, what they were talking about, what they were thinking. And you're basically brought miraculously to that era by even holding this bat and owning it. So some items, like I said in this sale, are great sports collectibles. Some even transcend sports and become part of American history, part of our American fiber. And I think this Ty Cobb game-used bat is just one of those items. And what can I say? It's you want the best of the best. No one ever regrets that.
Absolutely.
No
and
one
this
ever
one has
regrets.
the cool note that Cobb gave it to fellow Hall of Famer Joe Sewell.
Yeah, and I believe, is this, let's see, I always like this, where he says, because I wanted to satisfy myself that Cobb had as much guts as I thought in the very beginning. You know, I love when players talk about other players, and, you know, I know Ty Cobb was a tough dude.
Yeah.
And he was kind of an angry player.
Sure.
But you know, there was
It's all right.
some.
He is a fan, but he's not watching tonight.
Yeah,
So.
thank you. But the admiration and respect that comes from guys like fellow players, and how much they admire them, and how much those fellow players want a piece of the guy on the team who really stood out, who's the real champion. I just think it's great. So the Ty Cobb bat, I don't have much to add from this description that you guys have put together, other than you want the best of the best. I don't think anyone ever regrets it. I don't think anyone ever says, I wish I had gotten a lesser item.
Right, exactly.
You
This
know?
one's great, but right under it is where I want to be.
Yeah. You might decide on which options to get on your car, but as you're driving it home, you're saying, "Oh, I'm glad I got that custom stitching."
Right.
You know. So anyway, this is one of the best. The Ty Cobb game used bat. It's in wonderful condition. It's got great evidence of use.
Yes.
Which is it's not a new pristine thing. I mean, Ty Cobb's hands were on that grip tape.
Ball
There you go.
marks, cleat divot marks all over it.
I
It's
know.
just battered.
It's just a batter, and this is when things had to last a long time. The shape of the bat is different, obviously. I mean, the evolution of the bats are more disposable, if you will. Bats had to last a lot longer. They were much beefier back then, and you can see the silhouette of the bat. I mean, this was made for a lot more usage than you see players now. And of course, some of that is marketing. Some players, use a bat. It's right into the gift shop.
Right,
I get
exactly.
that. But these, not so much from these. This is a necessary part of the equipment, and this really saw some action. So I think it's absolutely terrific.
And a necessary part of our show is Mr. Tony Gehrig, who, thank you for joining us. Mike, everybody loves Tony. Everybody
Thank
wonders where Tony is.
Yeah.
So we couldn't have a show without Tony. So Tony prepared something for all of us.
Great.
Let's see what Tony has to say.
Let's see it.
This 2005 game-worn Derek Jeter Yankees batting helmet. This helmet's been photo matched to 81 games, including the postseason from that season. And most players, they are superstitious, but with a guy like Jeter, rarely do you find something that's worn for an extensive period of
14
time.
items in an hour.
During this time period, he was, wearing jerseys quite frequently. But this right here, 81 games, outstanding wear. He signed it. He also signed 2005 game used. The inside also shows outstanding wear. It does have a hologram from Steiner. I would say this is probably the nicest Jeter game used Yankees helmet in existence, and this is in our Platinum Night sale. And continuing with the Yankees theme, we have a photo matched 1985 Ricky Henderson game used pinstriped home jersey. This was the season that he broke the single season stolen base record for the Yankees franchise. Outstanding wear. Of course, we could photo match the pinstripe alignment on this uniform. If you look in the collar, it's got Henderson 85 and also number 2, which designates it was the second set used that season. Henderson autographed the front and does reference the stolen base record with the Yankees. This was one of the most dynamic players baseball has ever seen, from the leadoff position to revolutionizing his position as far as stolen bases, and just his record will never be touched. Teams don't really run like they used to, and as far as Henderson Yankee jerseys goes, this has to be the finest known. We're gonna take it back a few years with this really interesting piece. This was from 1951. This was given to Cy Young for the 75th anniversary of the National League. On the inside it says Cy Young Hall of Fame NL anniversary, and it's got the dates of the National League. A really cool piece. There's not a lot of Cy Young personal items to be had, and this is one of the more unique ones. It's in very, very nice condition, and especially with his name on it. There are a few known jerseys. Mostly what you'll see are signed index cards, signed Hall of Fame postcards, but to have an actual personal item from his collection, a very, very neat piece. This one's got an estimate of $20,000. And we can't talk baseball without a little Babe Ruth, and this is one of the most important Babe Ruth photos. This was taken in 1915, and it shows Babe Ruth and his father, which you rarely see anything with Ruth and his family. There's not a lot known about his childhood. Of course, he got sent to St. Mary's for boys that couldn't behave themselves, and that's where he kind of developed into the baseball player that he became. But this is from Ruth's bar in Baltimore, where he grew up, and it's one of the nicest photos of Ruth and his father in the bar, and Babe is tending bar, it looks like, and it's just eerie how much he looks like his father in this photo. It's an oversized photo, and it is mounted. It is PSA DNA Type 1, which, of course, for collectors, this is one of the most important Ruth photos in existence. Just a really, really cool photo from Ruth at a very early stage of his life.
How our videographer was able to restrain Tony's enthusiasm like that, I will never know. Usually he's bursting at the seams.
I think it was with canvas straps.
So glad Tony could join us in spirit. He certainly will be back next time, I'm sure. But we're going to switch gears real quick and start talking about some basketball material.
Terrific.
But first, Stude1953 says, hi guys, some really interesting items. Thanks for showing and talking about them. Thank you for joining us. If anybody else has any questions or comments like that, we'll take more of those for sure.
Yeah.
Any compliments. So starting out in basketball, this is one of the big basketball items we have in the auction. This is a 1967 through 69 UCLA Bruins NCAA basketball championship ring presented to Lou Alcindor.
Sure.
Later Kareem, of course. So this is one of the most important collegiate basketball rings in existence, awarded to Kareem for being the three-time college champions. He was the three-time champs because he couldn't play his freshman year back then.
Yep. Couldn't
These
play
are the rules.
varsity, right?
That's correct. But his freshman team beat the varsity team by 15 points, and that varsity team was back-to-back national champs.
That had to be somewhat humbling. That had to be a tough practice the next day, I'm thinking.
Right.
for
The back-to-back champs weren't the best team on campus,
Yeah,
essentially, and because of one player, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
Yeah.
one of the greatest players ever.
Like I said, I bet they did a few wind sprints on the practice that
Right.
followed. Just guessing.
He didn't get invited to the after party with the varsity team after that. But when he could finally get in there his sophomore year, his first game, 56 points. So he came out swinging and just dominated his entire career at UCLA, as did UCLA. When he graduated, he was 88-2. He won the tournament most outstanding player all 3 years, and this is the ring he was awarded for those 3 titles. This ring has been on Kareem's finger, and now it can be in your collection. It's sourced directly from him. It comes with Kareem's letter of provenance,
Which
as
is
well.
a collectible all by itself.
Exactly. There you go.
The letter we could probably have as a separate lot, you know? Yeah.
So a legendary figure, not just in basketball, in the political and civil rights arena,
yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
I mean, the man made one of the greatest comedies of all time,
Airplane.
Mike's a pilot. I'm sure you're a big fan.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite. You know, I think Kareem also started, like, he was a storied high school ball player at Power Memorial.
Definitely.
And so that was so widely covered. So I think that was really the beginning of covering the high school and how good these guys are. And of course, in college, he was, unstoppable. And was he one of the best college ball players ever? Well, he's in the conversal.
Yes,
We'll see some Christian Laettner thing, but certainly he's in the conversation. Pete Maravich, certainly, some of those other guys, but. Lou Alcindor, yeah, he's in the conversation, one of the best at every level, high school, college, pros.
And this is his 3-time champion ring directly from him. And I mean, the man made a movie with Bruce Lee. So that's the crowning achievement right there.
Well, that should give it another few bids right there, Mike.
I'm doing what I can.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stick with Lou Alcindor. because I love this next lot. This is the 1970 to 71 Kareem Abdul-Jabbar game-worn Milwaukee Bucks shooting shirt. And we've got Alcindor on the Bucks because of the most important coin flip in sports history. When he came out from UCLA, Kareem turned down $1 million to play for the Globetrotters. So he was going into the draft. It was a coin flip between the Bucks and the Suns who would get the first pick. Suns executive Jerry Colangelo, a Basketball Hall of Famer, made the call, and he went with heads based on a poll done by the Arizona Republic newspaper. The people said heads, but the eagle on the Kennedy half dollar was staring back at Commissioner J. Walter Kennedy's palm during the coin flip, giving the Bucks the first pick. They took Kareem. His rookie season, 69-70, led them to the brink of a title. And this season that he wore this shooting shirt, 70 and 71, he took them all the way. They won the title, him and Oscar Robertson.
Sure, the Big O.
The Big O. One of the greatest tandems ever. And
Average a triple-double, right?
That is correct. That is correct. And this is just a beauty. It's a hardwood treasure, this style. The delectable collared snap front and the Milwaukee applied in two-tone tackle twill, as well as the Alcindor. After this, at the end of the season, they swept the Bullets in the finals, and then he changed his name to Kareem from Lou Alcindor.
Which was controversial, right?
Yes,
I mean, that had some
definitely.
controversy to
At the
it,
time, certainly.
Yeah.
So this established this with Alcindor on the back as the last of its breed, and it's consigned by former Bucks equipment manager Pat McBride, great friend of Heritage. 7 years ago, he consigned an Alcindor and an Oscar Robertson.
So there's the provenance
jersey.
box checked.
Absolutely. Great provenance on it, and it's just a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
And I think you've got a beautiful piece as well.
I do
big
too.
fan of this one.
Yeah, let's stay with UCLA for a little bit. Let's stay with the John Wooden worn and signed UCLA Bruins staff jacket. Now this came after he was retired, but let me get to my notes on this.
Still a
piece.
consultant for the team.
Yeah.
Smart to keep him in the fold.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So signed and worn staff jacket. I mean, this guy had keys to the gym.
Right.
I'm pretty
he could go
sure
anywhere he
until
wanted.
he died. I'm sure John Wooden could walk anywhere in the basketball clubhouse and have full. He probably had his own office in there, even in retirement. But this is great. This is a staff jacket in that 1960 style that he
the
wore.
Letterman varsity style.
Yeah, and incidentally, the original jacket in this style that he wore while coaching sold for $183,000.
That's right.
$183,000. So again, this is the John Wooden jacket, just like the other. He didn't coach in this one, but he did wear it. Who knows what type of functions he wore this to at UCLA. Also, the embroidered John Wooden in his autograph, in his signature. That's fantastic. And I just think it's John Wooden, one of the greatest coaches. I think no matter what sport you coach, you might have read some of his books about coaching. Listen to some of the stories with the tennis rackets.
As the head of the Auctioneers, you ripped off his Pyramid of Success for Auctioneers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So he really came up, and so it's not only that he was successful on the court, but he was an innovator with leadership. And so many of the things that we talk about in offices and leadership in the business world, he kind of came up with that. But his practices were innovative. He used smaller rims. And the guys would be like, why am I having such trouble? And then they'd use the bigger rims in the game.
It'd be like they were throwing it into the ocean.
Yeah, it was like throwing it again into a barn. I mean, it was just unbelievable. But those little things that now everyone uses, right? I mean, I coach lacrosse, and I give my goalie little tiny sticks at practice. So when they have the big stick in the game, they're making all sorts of
Sounds like it's kind of a practical joke.
It's
perhaps.
also a little torturous. But be that as it may, I love this item, and a great John Wooden, one of the most well-respected and innovative coaches in any sport in any era. And it's right here in front of you, a John Wooden worn jacket and in his retirement at UCLA. So fantastic.
And
piece.
Wooden's grandson gave it to our consignment.
Yes. Yep.
So great provenance there as well.
There's the provenance right there. So another great UCLA item, and of course, if you're a coach, I can't imagine something like this not.
It's going to help your coaching ability.
I can't imagine it not fitting when one of your players walks in your office and sees this jacket behind some glass. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Now, we can't talk basketball right now without talking about Michael Jordan.
Okay.
Since The Last Dance, Michael Jordan material has gone crazy.
Yeah.
It's the only way to describe
Sure.
it. Things are selling for double, triple, many multiples of what they used to, and we have an incredible selection of Jordan material in this auction.
Yeah, we do.
And I will tell you, we have a Michael Jordan and Basketball Icons auction coming up in a month. So, but right now, let's talk about some Jordan items. You gonna kick us off there?
Am I going to kick?
Yeah, yeah.
0-0. I guess
With
I
one
am.
of the first Jordan professional items you could have.
This is you're talking about the NBA Finals clinching game one Chicago.
Oh, no, no,
Bulls?
no. I'm talking about the 1984 Michael Jordan first NBA preseason game ticket stub.
Oh, okay, yeah. And give me the lot number on that, Mike. Just
Yeah, it is 80086.
Yeah, this one is really cool. As I was looking at this one, only 2,000 people showed up to this.
In Peoria.
2,000 people showed up. So Michael Jordan, I mean, still has his North Carolina stuff in his bedroom drawers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, this guy is still wearing North Carolina T-shirts to bed. You know, so you know, and he's cutting his grass in North Carolina. Well, he's not doing that anymore. He made a ton of money. But the thing is this is the advent, and this is what I like. It's kind of like the Willie Mays Bowman thing. This is before anything happened. This is, yeah, we saw him in the NCAA finals. We saw the great shot. We knew he was going to be a great player. But 2,000 people showed up to this.
And it was a special that played in the Peoria Civic Center,
Yeah.
equidistance between Chicago and Indianapolis. They were playing the Pacers.
Yep.
And we sold one of these tickets in the spring, and I was contacted by a reporter in Peoria, who was a reporter in Peoria when this game happened. He covered this game, and he said the high school game got the top of the fold in the paper.
So this
in
was the
Peoria.
undercard?
This was the undercard in the paper.
Yeah.
So not many of these tickets exist. As you said, there was only 2,000 people there.
Yeah,
who
or
kept-
tickets sold, maybe less.
Yeah,
who
and
knows?
how many people kept their tickets from a
No, but,
preseason
yeah,
game?
these all went in the trash can because you can't figure what was going to unfold. You don't know what it's going to unfold. But I have in my notes. This was, quote, the first night.
Yes.
This was the first night. And when you think about the legendary career of Michael Jordan and watching those NBA finals on TV, and maybe I lived in Chicago during the whole Michael Jordan era, and just how the town was just electrified.
They talked about him some during
What's-
that?
Yeah, he was well covered.
Yeah.
Well covered in the Tribune.
And this is where it began, right here. You know, he was a rookie. He wasn't even the top pick. He was the third pick.
Rookie year showcase game, only 2,000 people. And a similar ticket commanded over $34,000 in our May sale.
That's correct.
So,
That's good research right there.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, this is at $3,100. This is a stub. Now, I'm not sure, was the other one a full ticket?
was.
The other was a full ticket. So that person missed out on the game. Too bad. But again, if you want a part of that, it's going to sell for less money because it's, you know, just the part, right?
Right.
But still, I mean, again, these are the first moments. This is the early DNA of Michael Jordan as a professional basketball player. And, you know, after the ESPN special, that 10-part series, everybody was talking about, everyone at the water cooler was talking about, sports people, whatever. It's just fascinating. He was so part of, again, the American culture. And, you know, this is when it all began. There it is, NBA preseason, Chicago Bulls versus the Pacers, Peoria Civic Center. Yeah, you want to come? $7. There's plenty of good seats for me. So, you know, I love stuff like this because
So
it really
that's
was the first night.
The beginning of his professional career, and this next item we're going to talk about is the first huge moment. This is from the 1991 NBA Finals. Take a look.
It was a changing of the NBA guard in the 1991 finals, the emergence of Michael Jordan, and the last appearance under the game's brightest spotlight for Magic Johnson. Jordan would ultimately outpace that accomplishment for the 1990s Chicago Bulls, but there's nothing like the first time. That first clincher came on June 12, 1991 at the Great Western Forum, the last finals contested on that historic hardcourt. And these are the warm-ups his airness wore as he prepared to earn his first NBA title. And now, these iconic pieces from one of the most important figures in sports will find a new owner in our August 29th Platinum Night auction.
That is a cool Jordan item there. That's what he was wearing as he warmed up for the finals, after the games, and then, of course, given to the French journalist in the locker room after the title was won.
Yeah, I mean, that brings you right down to courtside. I used to love, before the games. And I remember years and years ago when I used to go to the ABA games at the Nassau Coliseum.
Dating yourself once again.
Yes. We could actually go down, Dr. J, by the way. But the New York Nets, you could wander down to courtside and watch these guys in these warm-ups. And I remember I played high school basketball and for a year. But I remember getting my warm-up, and it was just wonderful. Just so, again, it puts you right on the court as the excitement is building. And, I mean, we certainly picture Jordan in his white, the white shorts, the white shirt with the in the red, of course, with the black letter, the black numbers and all that. I get it, but I just have him. I can see him wandering the court, in that high-fiving style in that jacket.
Yes.
It's just great. It puts me right
And
there.
they open the game with the national anthem, and he's standing there in it. Of course, the cameras are all on Jordan, and this is what he was wearing. We have a great photo of him, and if you look at the online listing at ha.com, you can see the photographs that the photojournalist who got it from Jordan took. And speaking of that 91 NBA Finals, this is as close as you're going to get, you or I, or anyone who's purchasing it, I'm sure, to an NBA championship ring. This is a 1991 Chicago Bulls title ring, that first dance, the first title. And this one was awarded to sharpshooter Craig Hodges.
Sure.
He led the league in three-point percentage 3 times, and him and Larry Bird are the only people to win 3 consecutive All-Star Game 3-point competitions.
Wow.
Certainly a notable player, but limited player rings. This is a player ring from Jordan and the Bulls' first title. I love the look of it. It's got the gold Bulls logo surrounded by diamonds. This one's a size 9, 43 grams. It's in spectacular condition, and it includes the display box, which is always a nice touch, but very nice, understated ring. You could wear this one out. We're going to talk about a Patriots ring later.
Okay.
That you could not wear out. But
Yes.
this one...
It's like a dinner plate on your hand. Yeah.
But this is a very nice one, and of course, incredibly significant, being the Bulls' first title.
Yeah. Part of the dynasty, part of the Bulls dynasty that's still talked about and other teams are compared to. When you talk about the double three-peat, I mean, it's, that is now the measuring stick for greatness.
Absolutely.
And of course, the Patriots did it, and now, and the Bulls. And that is the yardstick that every team is measured against now, as being a great, great dynasty team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then after they won the title, what did Jordan do? Well, takes us right to your next lot right there.
Well, he goes to the Olympics. How's that?
Right.
So let's look at lot. This lot is lot 8003. This is the dream team. This is the 92 Barcelona team. This is the team that other teams would stop during the game. Is that correct? This is the dream team ball, right?
That's
They
correct.
would stop during the game and get photos
Pictures.
as Jordan was dunking on them. So it's you think about the most dominant team, the 92 Barcelona Dream Team. It's signed. Lenny Wilkens is on that. Also
This is from Lenny Wilkens' collection.
Yep, and he's a 3-time Hall of Famer himself.
Absolutely.
And
hard to top that.
Yeah, 3-time Hall of Famer. The only 3-time Hall of Famer I can think is Eric Clapton is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 3 times. He's
Right.
the only one there in Hall of Fame.
So Wilkens as a player, as a coach, and then a member.
And as the Dream Team is its own entity in the Hall of Fame,
Right.
which is kind of cool.
Rightfully so.
11 players and 3 coaches made the Hall of Fame. 44-point victories is what they averaged. 44-point victories. And I'm thinking they could easily have been 74 points.
Right.
Because there was a bit of showmanship and a bit of, toying with the other players. I think they did
They
it
put
respect.
Leitner in the game.
Yeah. Christian Leitner was the only college representative there. But when you think about it, and this team has talked about the greatest collection of basketball talent on the planet ever assembled, ever. So, and I don't, we talk about the dream team.
Gotcha.
We
Look at
talk
that
about
catch.
we talk about the dream team somewhat, just the dream team, and then we talk about it every Olympics. This is the dream team 3. This is the dream team. This
Right.
is the team where that phrase was coined, and this, of course, is the international basketball, the Barcelona, the official ball. And you know who the scoring leader was on that team? You know who it was? Ooh.
Barkley?
Yes, nicely
Yeah,
done. Charles
yeah.
Barkley was the.
He had an axe to grind.
Yeah, nicely done. 18 points a game. So when you think about 18 points a game, not really a significant NBA average, but when you think about
When you're spreading the ball between
mixing
11
all these
legends.
these legendary players. These aren't just Hall of Famers. There are guys in the Hall of Fame. Well, you sports folks would recognize them, but there are people in the Hall of Fame a lot of people wouldn't know. Everybody on this team, everyone, I mean, ESPN did a special on Christian Laettner too. He's not in the Hall of Fame. But they did a special on him, and he's not
Collegiate
even
Hall of
he's
Fame.
not even
He
in the
is.
Hall of Fame. So again, this is just a fantastic assemblage of the greatest basketball talent ever on one team in the history of the planet. Here is a ball signed by every one of those players. So again, huge crossover for Olympics, for Hall of Famers, NBA, great crossover here, because this isn't an NBA. This is not an NBA collectible. It's an Olympic collectible that kind of crosses over. Yeah, it has NBA players, it has Hall of Famers, so it has crossover in so many directions. An absolute must. And this is not going to be in the normal place of your signed basketballs on a shelf in your game room. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
It just can't be.
A place of honor.
It's too valuable. It's too important. And it's really part, again, this kind of transcends, goes back to the American history part of sports. I think it's an absolute essential item. It's at $50,000 reserve. I can't imagine this thing's not going to go.
I think that's going to get hit. We've got some time, just over an hour until extended bidding begins.
Yeah.
But speaking of legendary items,
Yeah.
this next one is a must-have, one of the finest Jordan jersey examples I've seen. Please take a look.
Though Michael Jordan earned his Hall of Fame immortality for putting balls through the hoop, and Dennis Rodman for retrieving those that rattled out, his airness was earlier to the rebounds than even the Worm on March 18, 1997, when he wore this uniform, as he snagged 18 rebounds for his personal career best in an overtime victory against the visiting Seattle Supersonics. In that game, Jordan poured everything he had into this garment during a dominant performance that saw him lead in points with 32 while playing over 50 minutes in the 89-87 victory. The jersey format is one of the most recognizable in post-war sports, and the provenance ironclad with a letter from the Charitables organization. Furthermore, this jersey has been definitively photo-matched to the contest that saw Jordan pull in his career-high rebounds. An extraordinary full uniform from the greatest player ever with perfect provenance and a thrilling backstory. Does it get any better?
Love that Jordan item. Of course, any jersey worn by anything Michael Jordan touched has value. But when he's pouring his sweat and everything he is into a jersey like that, truly an incredible item.
Well, he's an incredible athlete, and you think about the human achievement way beyond even the collectible. I mean, this is a human being put on this planet who is just not like everybody else.
Yeah.
So you're talking about just the performance in that. Again, Michael Jordan's 23, just one of those things. Mickey Mantle, number 7. These are numbers Jackie Robinson, 42. These are numbers you just know.
Right.
Even the
Iconic.
non-sports guy knows these. It's wonderful.
All right, and we've got a comment from YouTube. Sean McCoyney. I have a pair of Michael Jordan Air Jordan high top sneakers, red with the black Nike swoosh. They are worn maybe a quarter of the way. Do you think they are worth putting online for sale? Did Jordan wear them? That's the question. Or are these your own Nikes that you were wearing on the court?
Yeah, are they size 13.5 or 9.5?
Right, that's the question. If you want to send us some images and let us know, if you direct message us, we'll take a look and let you know exactly what they're worth. And if you're interested in selling, of course, we can help you with that too. If anybody else has any questions, comments on Facebook or YouTube, we'd love to hear from you. And we've got another incredible Bulls item right here. This is the 1995-96 Chicago Bulls NBA Championship ring. This was the first one of the second three-peat, and this is also a player ring, which is key to collectors. Often the front office or staff rings will make it out into the market, but the player rings rarely do. And this one was awarded to 7-foot center James Blue Edwards. And the interesting thing about him, he was a former Piston. He played for the Pistons 87 through 91. They knocked the Bulls out of the playoffs 3 times. And as everyone saw in The Last Dance, when the Bulls finally beat the Pistons in the playoffs in 91, the Pistons walked off without shaking their hands. Edwards was on that team, and then he joins the Bulls.
Yikes.
This is right after Jordan came back. So to make things a little smoother, Edwards told the team he was against the walk-off. He wanted to shake their hands, but
He wanted to.
but I guess he couldn't tell Isaiah Thomas what to do. Understandable there. So the 39-year-old Edwards was beginning his final season with a new team in Chicago. This was his retirement gift right here. 72-10 season.
Wow.
The greatest record in history at that point, the Warriors had beat it, but the Warriors didn't win the title.
Yeah.
These Bulls did win the title. In fact, they only lost 3 games in the entire playoffs that year. Just a dominant performance and a beautiful ring here that someone's going to win tonight. It's got the 4 figural Larry O'Brien trophies, each topped with a genuine diamond, and 44 grams, size 11.5 on this one. A little bigger for the 7-footer.
A little bigger, but
than
wearable.
Craig
It's not like
Hodges'
a
ring.
16 like some of the offensive linemen we
or
see.
the 22 that was estimated for Refrigerator Perry's ring. There was not a tool big enough to measure it.
Yeah.
We were just estimating it. But a beautiful ring here, an important team, of course, the 95-96 Bulls. And I love the look of that ring, the black background.
These are dynasty rings.
Right.
They're not just the isolated championship, which is great. You know, you live in a city, you know, your team wins it, you want a piece of that. These teams are dynasty teams. It doesn't matter who will have the ring. They're part of a dynasty, and of course, we're talking about the 2 greatest dynasties, you know, the Chicago Bulls and the New England Patriots. And
We'll get to a Patriots
We're going to
ring
see some
shortly.
Patriots stuff a little bit later. Mike, let's talk about lot 80088. Does that
A
sound
little
good?
artwork. Let's do it.
Yeah, a little artwork, so a little bit different. So we'll take you off the court. We'll take you into the studio, if you will. This is a Leroy Neiman. This is an original artwork. I mean, we could have put this in a fine art sale. We've done that before. There's been some, so all of you sports folks, make sure you have your keywords in heritage, because there are some items sometimes that are related to sports that might be in another division that you don't have your antennas up for. So
We won the coin flip on this one.
Oh, you did? Okay. We'll take it. No, we'll take it. No, we'll take it. Just back and forth in the hallway. But anyway, so the sports guys ended up with it, and that means that you all have a chance to win it. This is original artwork. This is original art. It's not a
Neiman.
print. It's nothing. This is the original stuff.
This is it.
So not by paintbrush, by markers. And again, it's got the Jordan signature. It's got the Neiman signature. Leroy Neiman, an iconic sports artist. I mean, we've seen so many of Ali. We've obviously Jordan. We've seen some of the great
Joe Namath.
Yeah, Joe Namath. We've seen some of the great Masters pieces, and he does some golf work. So Leroy Neiman, really part of the sports community as a visual the visual arts. And here's a chance to own it. So this sale, a lot of baseball, as is always the case, but again, pretty Michael Jordan heavy. But we give you so much variety. And this piece is out there on the most variety. We're off the court. We're not with the players. There's no sweat on this. This is just a great item to have.
It's just fine art.
It's just a fine art by a great artist, and it's the original piece. It belongs in your collection. And if you just like Michael Jordan and you like his work ethic and you like the way he played and his skill and his talent, this is for you, whether you're from Chicago or not. But you know, I can't imagine at this price level. Again, these are easy. This is an easy decision you can point and click away and not even think about this until you get to 20 grand.
Definitely.
I wouldn't even think about it. I mean, it's just point, click.
Yeah, just start clicking.
Yeah, and I've seen that before, and it will happen. So if you're thinking, if you've got this item in your hip pocket thinking, oh yeah, that's right, I've got a bid on that. Yeah, you better,
And you've
better
got,
get
we've got
moving.
1 hour until extended bidding begins at 10 p.m. Central Time. So you got 1 hour to get your bids in on anything if you want to participate in extended bidding. And you know what, Mike?
Yeah.
We should check in with Tony.
Let's do it. Tony, where are you now?
Yeah, Tony.
As we all know, the basketball market has exploded recently with the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, and you know, Jordan equipment, but as well as a lot of the other basketball players' stuff has really gone up in value quite a bit. And this Platinum Night sale has some of the absolute finest basketball pieces in it. And what I did is I just took a couple of the unique ones and gonna describe to you. This one came across my desk, and it just instantly made me excited, I guess you could say. This is one of the earliest Michael Jordan single-signed basketballs I have ever seen. If you look, every single letter of his name is spelled out perfectly, which is what he did when he was in college and in his first couple years in the NBA. What makes this really unique is it is on a Nike basketball. So you've got a very early Michael Jordan single-signed basketball with the Nike emblem on it. I have never seen another one like it. And when you talk early autographs, this is the kind of thing that I think will go up in value and is very, very collectible. So a nice early Michael Jordan single-signed basketball. Keep that in mind. That's a really that's what really takes this piece and takes it pretty high in my opinion. A lot of times people would get somebody else's autograph on it, but this is only Jordan with the Nike angle, especially early Nike stuff. This is a 5-figure ball very soon. Kevin Garnett was supposed to go in the Hall of Fame this year and will be going in next year with Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan, and going to be one of the biggest draft classes. This is one of the more unique and eye-grabbing jerseys that we have sold. This is a photo match to 2 games from the 1996-97 season. If you look, there's silver spackle twill is what we like to refer to in the collecting industry, the game-worn jersey industry. You've got the gold NBA silhouette used exclusively in the 1996-97 season. Beautiful cut to the team name, and you've got this unique motif of trees surrounding the neckline and the shoulder inserts. Garnett's familiar 21, which will be, if it's not already, it will be retired at some point. Shows good wear. We call this puckering. I'm sure you've heard us say that before, or if you've read our descriptions. That's just from multiple washings on this jersey. And then the back, Garnett 21 with an autograph. As we've said before, Garnett is not an easy autograph guy to get. He doesn't like doing it, and he never has liked doing it, so anything signed, it does take on a special significance. But a really beautiful design. I think we had the white one in an auction before, and I think it did like $25,000. This has a $20,000 estimate, and it does have the dual tags in the tail, body length +3, the champion size 48. But it also has, which is very unique, which is unique to the team actually, a local manufacturer and 96-97 set 3. So very cool piece for a Timberwolves fan or just an NBA fan. The trunks are included in this lot, so KG, if you're a KG fan, that's about as good as you can get. And now we're going old school for a second here. Oscar Robertson, one of the probably top 5 players in NBA history, who first made his mark at the University of Cincinnati. This is a game-worn jersey, photo matched by My Gray to an AP photo from 1959. Yes, it is a size 44. Yes, he did fit into this back during his college days. One of the greatest athletes, one of the greatest guards in NBA history. He could do everything. Won a championship, was one of the greatest college basketball players. And it's got a simple Cincinnati and 2-color tackle twill. The number is single colored black. This is what they call a Doreen jersey, and to collectors, it's the preferred style. You've got the black and red piping around the shoulders and around the neckline as well. Just an absolute gorgeous jersey of one of the greatest players in NBA history, but also in college history, the Big O, Oscar Robertson. And we can't finish up a segment without a little more Michael Jordan. These were consigned by a member, actually the trainer from the 84 Olympic team. His son got these directly from Michael Jordan. They were in the hotel lobby, and Jordan had his shoes. The kid asked him for his shoes. He said sure. The kid was good friends with Pat Knight, which is Bobby Knight's son. Bobby Knight, of course, was the coach of the 1984 Olympic basketball team. Pat Knight took these on the bus and had each of the members sign them. Both are signed by Jordan, and the nice thing about this is Jordan signed against a really nice spot in red ink, so these really, really jump out. Of course, with Jordan, you think of Air Jordan, you think of Nike, and these are Converse. And he didn't wear these for a long time. These were actually worn, it was in July of 1984. Before the Olympics, the Team USA took on a number of NBA superstars. Larry Bird was one of them, and I think Mike Dunleavy. There was a group of NBA players that participated in these exhibitions. And the Dream Team, not the Dream Team, I'm sorry, the 84 Olympic basketball team actually defeated the NBA stars in a number of these exhibitions, which of course is pretty rare. But beautiful Jordan, early Jordan. These have a 100,000 estimate. I'm sure they will far exceed that. They do show nice wear. If you look on the bottom here, there is a mark. Here, they are signed, like I said, twice by Jordan, Chris Mullin, I think Elvin Robertson, Wayman Tisdale, Vern Fleming. Just unique, very unique shoes. As we all know, the shoe market has really taken off, and these are in good condition, but a lot of times it's the story that really sells it. And these, given the story on how they were obtained from the team doctor's son, who kept them all these years, and after seeing The Last Dance and seeing what Michael Jordan Collectibles have turned into, decided to consign them. And I can see these things getting a couple 100,000, just given Jordan's popularity and these being very early game-worn shoes. They do have the size 13 on the inside as well. So size 13, it's got everything, all the bells and whistles you would want on a Michael Jordan game-worn shoe.
I miss his musk, I'll say that.
Yeah, that's freaky.
Here in this room, but it's great to hear his voice and to see him. Tony, I hope you're having a good night wherever you are, buddy. And to the Sainted Miskezi, I know you're a big fan. Thank you for watching. We have a special gift coming out to you soon as well.
We do?
Yeah, we do.
I didn't know about any gift. Well, let me tell you something else I didn't know. I didn't know that we're supposed to wear a tux. Tablecloths.
This is the one time I knew I could outdress you.
Yeah,
so I am.
So he did.
All right, so you've got one of the oldest items in the auction right here.
Yeah. This is a baseball mantle clock, Mantle, as in fireplace mantle.
Right, the other
clock,
Mantle.
Yeah, by New Haven Clock Company back in the 1880s. Baseball just around, 35 years. I mean, that's about all it has been around. It's already influencing decor in our homes in the United States. And how many of you looked up the word horology or horology? How many people looked that up?
I've just known.
Yeah, Kyler says I looked it up. I did too, by the way. It is the study of time, people who study time, or it can include
Like Doc Emmett Brown?
It could be an astrophysicist like that, or it could be a person who actually, like Doc Brown, or it could be someone who makes clocks or watches. So, pretty cool thing here. Again, baseball not been around very long when this clock came out by the New Haven Clock Company. I like it. I can't add too much to the description. The clock is not functioning right now, but we think that it certainly could. But even if it doesn't, it just makes a great decorative item. If you are a baseball person, which we all are. Let's face it, everyone watching this is at least somewhat of a baseball person. What a great decorative item from the turn of the century, even before that, and just shows the classic nature of baseball. You got a lefty batter up there and a righty pitcher, but I think they were trying to figure out who this could be.
Right.
And I'm not even going to go down that road with you experts. It could be.
You're not
anybody.
up on your 1880s baseball
Yeah,
players?
I'm not. My 1880s is not quite there. But I just think these type of things have that crossover, decorative arts. It's sports related. We've sold some things over the years with that classic type of decorative nature. This certainly has it. I think it's a wonderful item, and if you have sports displayed, it'd probably be in a little more formal setting. But I think it has that old time baseball feel. I think it's terrific. It's only at $8,500. I mean, you could probably get the clock working for maybe another $500, $600. I'm guessing nothing.
We
really.
can have our timepieces department take a look at it.
Yeah, we can give you a place to go and send it there. That's right. And we absolutely can do that. Yeah, we absolutely can. So it's a great piece, and it's a little bit off the beaten path of what this sale has, but that's kind of what makes it great. That little bit of variety, and it's in lot 80045. I think you're gonna
Love that piece. And I've got a very unique one here. This is the 1916 M1015 Sporting News Jim Thorpe. His exploits on the gridiron are the stuff of folklore.
Yes.
3 titles with the Canton Bulldogs. He was the league president of the NFL, the first one when they had to pick a president. Who else are they going to do? Thorpe. And of course, he was a gold medalist in the decathlete. But he also played in Major League. So this is a baseball card for Jim Thorpe right here.
And he was a great chess player too.
I'm sure he was.
I actually don't
checkers.
know that, but I'm thinking he probably was.
I mean, he had that kind of mythical quality, like
Yes.
Babe Ruth, where, they said at halftime of the football games he would come out and entertain the fans by kicking 50-yard field goals. And he was the greatest runner on the team. But this is a baseball card from Thorpe, and it is the single finest example of this card in the PSA population. No equals or superiors, inclusive of both the blank back and the advertising back variety. This is the blank back one. A really beautiful one. It boasts sharp corners and registration, clean surfaces, and even the good fortune of a perfectly balanced factory cut. Great centering there.
Yes, outstanding centering, which is often a disclaimer on cards, and it takes a little bit away. Not this one. This has it.
But this is an investment quality card from the greatest athlete of the first half of the 20th century. No hyperbole saying
No,
that.
not at all. That's all right on.
And speaking of great athletes and baseball cards, we would be remiss if we didn't discuss this one. This is the 1933 Gowdy Babe Ruth. This is card number 181 of the 4 representations of Ruth in the Gowdy set. And this one is a mint 9 off center, as we talked about with the centering, but a magnificent representation of a key card from one of the hobby's most beloved issues. And this is one of my favorites of the Ruth poses in it. There's 3 different poses. This is an honest portrait of the Babe right here. Wrinkles and all, rotundity. They didn't gloss over it. This is who he was. He was at the end of his career, past his prime as a player. But as always, the primary factor in this card set, the most important representation in the card in the 33 Gowdy. There's only a single Gem Mint 10 that exists of this pose in the Gowdy, and this one is an absolute stunner just below it at Mint 9. And I'm going to keep it going with the vintage cards.
Okay.
Love this one. I had personally not seen it before this came in for the auction. This is a 1933 E137 Z-Nut Joe DiMaggio batting with the coupon. It's a PSA X5 Pop 1 of 1.
Jeez.
Yes.
That's the kind of stuff you get in these sales.
Yes, exactly. This is a card most people do not have in their collection. Many have probably never seen before, but it is a Z-Nut promotion, the San Francisco-based confectioner. The product was kind of like a coconut variety of Cracker Jacks,
Okay.
if you can imagine. And they were the first organization to capture this local San Francisco talent in cardboard.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, beautiful and a rare, important relic and of the young superstar. This is from his Pacific Coast League days, the PCL, he would hit safely in a record 61 consecutive PCL contests in 1933 to prove that his forthcoming 56-game hitting streak in 41 for the Yankees was no fluke. And this is the finest of 3 batting with coupon. It has the coupon attached, the redemption coupon. Nobody ever sent it in. Bad news, it says the offer expires April 1st, 1935. So you missed.
It's like every coupon that I own expired yesterday.
Exactly, it's gone.
Yeah.
But simply put, this is the finest example of an all-time legend's earliest card right here. If you're a Yankees collector, many of you are, or a DiMaggio fan, this is one for the premier DiMaggio or Yankees collection. Super rare and an incredible example.
Yeah, you always we keep talking about it. It's that first game. It's the Michael Jordan preseason first game. It's the Willie Mays Bowman rookie agreement. It's before anything was really happening with these guys. I mean, yeah, he was a good player. He was just a prospect.
He was a San Francisco Seal.
That's all he was a
So a sheet of 153 Topps cards cuts into 10 strips. 80 players are showcased, 20 appear